This short instructional video is part of the QGIS Lab 6 instructional series. This part of the Lab 6 series is subsetting overlapping areas. We've set up the census data in the earlier step where we've displayed the census data in a way that reveals the population per square kilometer in a useful way. Now we want to add the cities that exist within this census tract area. So our first step is to add the cities from the Lab 6 subdirectory, and we have to find the right data in the right folder, and we're selecting the U.S. cities. And we select the cities and add them, and the cities cover all of the U.S. states and territories, and they're in a different projection than our census data. So there's a couple of issues. We need to subset the cities and get them in the right projection. So and to show you how that the issue of the problem of the projection is, if we turn off the on-the-fly projection, we can zoom to the full extent, and you can see that our census data doesn't line up with our city data. So we'll put the on-the-fly projection back on so we can take our first step, and we'll fix our projection in a few minutes, because analysis steps require each layer to be in the same projection. So I'm going to put the cities below so we see where we're going to subset to, and I'm going to zoom in on the our study area, and I'm going to select the U.S. cities and layers. So that's what I want to pick from, and I'm going to select by rectangle, and I'm going to pick a little area that's a little more generous, so I make sure I get every city that's in our census tract plus a few extras. So I've got a little larger selection, but it's definitely smaller than the entirety of the U.S. cities file. So now I'm going to right click and save this. I'm going to do save as, and I'm going to save only the selected features, and I want to make sure I browse to the right place so that I can save it where I can find it. And these would be cities selected by rectangle, something of that sort. And we want to fix the projection also. So we're going to use a selected coordinate system, and we're going to browse to NAD83 UTM, which is what the census tract data is in. So we now say OK, and now our saving is done. Our vector file has been created. We can remove the U.S. cities, and we can add our subsetted cities file, our smaller cities file, subsetted by rectangle. And you now see that we just have a much smaller file, and it's in the correct projection. There's no on-the-fly projection going on. So, so now what we're going to do is we want to pull out only those cities that are within our census tract. Okay, so maybe I'll put them in a different order so you can see it. So we only want these cities that overlap with our census tract. And how we go about doing that is up in Vector, Spatial Query, and we're selecting the Spatial Query, and we want to say from the cities that are selected by rectangle, we want only those that intersect, that overlap with our census tract. And we're going to create a new selection. So we say Apply, and it finds those and says, is that okay? We're going to create a new selection, and we say Apply, and we close. So now we have those cities selected that overlap with our census tract area. Now it probably would be a good idea if we save those so we had them in their own file. So I'm going to browse to my 6 data, and I'm going to pick my select by rectangle, and I'm going to put in select, select it again so I know what's going on. I can use the layer CRS because it's the same. I fixed the projection in the last step, but I only want to save the selected features. So I say OK, its saving's been done, and now I want to add that vector layer, that new vector layer, which is just only the overlapping cities. Okay, so I've got that, and I can take off my selected by rectangle. Okay, so now we have just the cities that overlap, and we might want to make these cities a little smaller. So I'm going to pick the style in the marker size. I'm going to move down a little bit, maybe to something like, let's try 0.5, and apply that so that you can see where the cities are and things are in better proportion. Now you're going to want to use the composer up here to create this PDF with a legend, north arrow, scale bar, and a title for your turn-in PDF. Thank you.